Oh man, this loading screen right here still haunts me to this day. Coming back to finally come and play The Last of Us Left Behind after so many years when I completed the original The Last of Us. Just coming back to this menu screen brought back so many memories. The unparamounted sadness that is found in this loading screen, the visuals, the dilapidated world, this ensemble of a soundtrack is truly, truly special. And the team that's responsible for this entire experience needs to be commended for their sensational work. I don't think there's a loading screen that has hit so hard on this level that particularly isn't a theatrical soundtrack. You know, the loading screens and menu screens that have really great music that come to mind are games such as Batman Arkham City, Dark Souls 3, the other Dark Souls games, and other titles such as LA Noire, which has a great opening OST, and it's just a sign of what's to come. This soundtrack definitely describes the entire experience of this game, a lost world filled with sadness, but there's a tinge of hope if you can find it, if you can push through the entire experience. So for me personally, coming back to finally play Left Behind, I played The Last of Us originally on the PlayStation 3, so this was my first time experiencing the remastered experience over on PlayStation. And I definitely will say it is a positive experience. What surprised me in this title is that we actually play the middle part in between after Joel gets his huge injury, and we actually play a part in, nursing him back to health and playing in present day. From what I understood, that this Left Behind DLC was only between Riley and Ellie. It was actually interesting to actually go through the debacle and the tough times that Ellie had to go through before Joel was back at full health, and it was definitely a cool experience to come back to it. Now, I personally haven't played part 2 of The Last of Us Part 2. I definitely have some substantial issues with the plot. I have followed it, I've read the plot synopsis, and I've watched the gameplay, and I've experienced that entire debacle. I definitely would say I am less livid in regards to how that entire situation was handled, and I'm probably coming to the point where I'll be willing to finally play that game. And if I do end up making the decision to finally pick up The Last of Us Part 2, you guys will be the first to know, and I will come with an extensive patient gamer review on that. But coming back to Left Behind, definitely is a very short segment compared to the other title. Very short, but definitely satisfactory. You're able to definitely come back and experience the full fear that you had in the first game, perhaps a little bit more, because you aren't as capable as Joel is. Well, Ellie does have the knife, which makes her more lethal against clickers. Against these other guys, you definitely are in trouble, whether you're fighting the clickers, the zombies, or the men who are after you and Joel. Definitely an interesting experience. Playing as Ellie, going through this mall, experiencing this new character, and how Ellie used to operate and move before she had interacted with Joel Miller. Definitely a cool experience, and just exploring and having a little bit of fun, with Riley, and just experiencing this world without so much pressure is a refreshing experience, and it's something special. It's something that brings us a little bit closer to Ellie as a person and as a character. Now, this side story, it definitely is good, but I definitely will stand to this, that The Last of Us is built upon the relationship of Joel and Ellie. While it was interesting to see Ellie interact with her very good friend of Riley and, possible future love interest if that ending didn't pan out as it did, this game and why people were so drawn to it and why people have so much love and have so much emotional attachment to this title is the relationship between these two characters. If you take one of them and operate with them alone, the experience isn't going to be as powerful or as loved. And this is an issue that the second game faced. Some may disagree with me on that part, but I definitely did enjoy this experience. But undoubtedly, Joel and Ellie and their tumultuous journey is what makes and what made all of us fall in love with this series in the first place. Naughty Dog truly have a good ability to make that relationship feel oh so authentic. And that's why we love this series so much, and why there was so much disdain for how the second game was handled. But as I said, if you've played the first game, this is a DLC expansion. If you enjoyed the gameplay, it could have been some years since I came back to this gameplay. It's still pretty decent. The AI is okay. It's okay. And you know, with the listening ability, being able to pinpoint where your enemies are if they don't know, or if they're in a calm condition, is appreciated. But yeah, it does kind of give you maybe too much of a tactical advantage knowing exactly where your enemies are. But hey, I appreciate it. It definitely does help out. And I'm sure if you're playing on a higher difficulty, perhaps on Grounded, I think those abilities are mitigated, reduced, or removed completely. But it is what it is. You're low on ammo, and it's a decent experience, and the gameplay is solid. You do play in pretty much two more like environments as you go through, and yeah, it's definitely a decent experience. This is definitely something you should play. I would recommend, if you're someone who hasn't played The Last of Us Part 1 yet, Joel will get some sort of an injury throughout that experience. As soon as you get to that point in the story, I'd say it's time for you to jump into the Last of Us Left Behind, because I understand when you go into the menu, it says it's best experienced after completing the main story. I would kind of disagree there, because the sense of urgency is somewhat gone after you've completed the main story. As soon as Joel gets that significant injury, and you'll understand what I'm talking about as soon as you get to that point in the game. As soon as you get to that point, I say, as soon as you guys get to that point and it passes, log out, go back to the main menu, and go into Left Behind and experience that experience for yourself. It'll play very nicely. You'll be back into the groove of things. You do have a new inventory box, and you won't have the same items, but narratively, this is the best way to play the game. You know, it would have been better if they actually just sandwiched this experience into the title after the remastered edition was out, but it's okay. It's just the way they chose to do it. They chose to make it into an optional side story, and it's your choice, but I definitely would recommend you do experience this game for yourself and experience this more so like 2 to 3 hour DLC. That's how long it takes. So it definitely is just, you know, an addition and some extra content added onto the game. If you miss it, you're definitely not going to be hurting in any sense, but it's a decent experience, and I'd say it's worthwhile if you just want to have a little bit more of an experience of how Ellie operates and stuff like that. But yeah, man, the one thing that I will say this title probably misses out on and actually lacks is towards the end. You know, it's okay. I'm gonna say this is a spoiler section. I'll make a note there in the timestamps, and you'll know when the spoiler section is, and you'll be able to skip this if you haven't yet played this DLC. All right. Now, of course, we know that Riley is going to be joining the Fireflies, right? And by the end of it, both Ellie and Riley are bitten. Now, I'm quite disappointed that they don't show us Riley turning. I would have been really interested to see how Ellie would have dealt with that situation. We understand that because she loves Joel so much, she has trauma previously, particularly probably with this Riley experience. I would have been really interested to see how she handled that experience. How did she kill her? Did she run away? How did she handle that entire experience? I'm just genuinely interested. And I thought they personally fumbled the bag by not showing us how Ellie dealt with that previous experience. But honestly, that's really the only section that I would be like, perhaps they missed the mark a bit there. But other than that, it is a worthwhile experience, and I definitely recommend you go ahead and try this out. So guys, those are my thoughts. You know, if you're going to pick it up, you don't even have to worry about all of this stuff. It is still I think it's still a PlayStation exclusive. I think oh no, it's not, because The Last of Us 1, I think, yes, The Last of Us Part 1 recently came out on PC, so whichever platform you are on, you do have the option to be able to pick it up. If you're over on PlayStation, I would definitely recommend you guys just go ahead and pick up psplus. It's included in that package, and you can either go ahead and pick up The Last of Us 1 completely, The Last of Us Remastered completely. Left Behind is included in that package, or you can get the standalone DLC package, which includes Left Behind. So depends on how you want to consume this form of media. Depends if you've maybe already played the original, never got to play this DLC, such as myself. That's a way in which you can tackle it and go ahead and pick this title up. But yeah, I recommend you would go ahead and pick this up. It's a bit difficult for me to give this thing a rating because it's not really, I wouldn't even really call this, really, it's like it's so short. It's so short in terms of content. It's a very small portion. It's solid, I'd say. It's solid. For me personally, it didn't blow me away. I understand some people might have been very impressed, but it was just it wasn't long enough for me to care about Riley to a high level or high degree. It was just okay. If I want to give a rating out of 10, this is difficult. I'm leaning more towards a 6 because it was just okay. It's definitely not one of the stronger parts of the game. It's just alright. It just gets the job done and gives us a little bit more insight into what Ellie's gone through. But other than that, yeah, no, it's just alright. It's alright. It's not bad. Slightly above average. Yeah, dude, it gets the job done. The main game has parts that are far more compelling. And you'll be just fine if you never experienced this too. It's definitely just, if you want some more of The Last of Us, you want some more of that gameplay, yeah, definitely. And yeah, that's actually part of the reason I even ended up playing this, because I kind of missed that gameplay experience. And that's why I'm thinking, maybe I should pick up 2, even if I don't enjoy that title narratively from a narrative perspective. I know for a fact that I definitely will be intrigued by that gameplay experience. I've watched some of that gameplay footage. Looks very exciting, and I'm very interested to see how I feel after playing it. But yeah, guys, those are my thoughts. Yeah, like, comment, and subscribe. Tell me your thoughts down there in the comments. Do you agree, disagree with my takes? Let's have a discussion. Let's have a dialogue down there in the comments. Take it easy, gents.